Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Irene and I'm a registered dietitian, and today I am going to attempt to eat a perfect diet. So you may be wondering what a perfect diet consists of, and to be honest, I don't know, and I don't think that there is like a single perfect diet for everyone. It's kind of very individualized for each person. But here in the US, we do have the US Dietary Guidelines, and I feel like that comes like somewhat close to like a ideal healthy diet. Of course, it's not perfect, but that is what we're gonna go with today. So I am going to be doing my best to try and follow it to a T. So in the US Dietary Guidelines for 2020 to 2025, they have four like kind of major guidelines. The first one is to follow a healthy eating pattern. The second one is to customize and enjoy food and beverage choices that are reflective of personal preferences, cultural traditions, and budgetary considerations. The third guideline is to focus on meeting each of the food groups within your caloric limits and make sure that they're all kind of very nutrient dense. And the fourth one is to limit foods and beverages that are high in saturated fat, added sugars, sodium, and also to limit alcoholic beverages. So this means that I am going to have to pay special attention to the added sugars and saturated fat that I am consuming today, because I know whenever I did track my calories that day particularly, I had a lot of saturated fat. So that's something that I'm going to have to be especially careful of today. And I can kind of guesstimate that like on a regular day, I probably consume anywhere between 1,800 to 2,000 calories. And that seems like probably a reasonable amount for me. And I know that that day that I did track my calories, it was closer to 2,200. Of course, I feel like it was a day that I ate more than I normally do, or like more calories than I normally do, because it was just a lot of fat, and fat has a lot of calories. Looking at what the USDA recommends for like someone following a 2,000 calorie diet, I will need to consume 2.5 cups of vegetables, 2 cups of fruit, 6 ounces of grains, 3 cups of dairy, and 5.5 ounces of protein. I also need to limit my oils to about 27 grams or less, and then also my like fun calories or like other use calories, I need to keep it under 240 calories today. So I'm actually not going to be tracking my calories, but I'm just going to try and be mindful of like if I have dessert or something like that, that I need to stay within 240 calories for the day. This already sounds like it's like a lot of rules. I'm going to have to be like probably trying to figure out how to get all of these different food groups, because I don't always eat these amounts of these food groups every day. Especially, I know the 3 cups of dairy is going to be kind of difficult to hit, because I don't think most Americans drink like 3 cups of milk a day or something like that. So for breakfast, I am going to start off with a yogurt bowl to try and get some of the dairy requirements out of the way. So I'm going to have a cup of this Chobani Greek yogurt. And because it is like this non-fat, plain, unsweetened one, I'm gonna add some honey. I'm just gonna be careful about added sugars. So I'll probably do like 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. One and a half tablespoons is like plenty. So mix that together. Then I've also measured out 1 cup of blueberries. I'm not always like the best at eating fruit every day, especially like 2 servings of fruit a day. So definitely had to go out and buy some extra fruit yesterday. Like even seeing like this cup of blueberries, it's probably more than I would put in like a regular yogurt bowl, but that's okay. Then next, I am also gonna add some nuts and seeds. So I have walnuts, pumpkin seeds, and hemp hearts. And I also, because nuts are pretty high in fat, want to be careful of like the saturated fat content. So I don't normally put that much anyways, but a serving size is 1 ounce of walnuts. For pumpkin seeds, it's a 1/4 cup, and then for the hemp hearts, it's like 3 tablespoons, and they're all about 1 to 2.5 grams of saturated fat per serving size. I'm not gonna add that much, but I would guesstimate that like the amount of saturated fat that I'm about to put on my yogurt bowl is about, I don't know, like 3 to 4 grams. All right, and here is my breakfast. Okay, so I was also just thinking about the dairy requirements, and I mean, I can definitely add cheese into my diet to meet it, but because I don't know what I'm going to eat, and like, you can't just put cheese on everything, I guess. I'm also going to have a matcha latte, and then I'll use up like half a cup of milk, so that'll be like half of my dairy requirements knocked out for breakfast. I am going to add a little bit of honey just for some sweetness. That was probably like half a tablespoon. And half a cup of milk. All right, okay, for lunch we got Chipotle, and this Chipotle is very generous. I got guac to go with it, and there's just like a mountain of it. So I'm gonna approximate like the different food groups that I have in this bowl right here. So there is about like, I would say half a cup or half of an avocado at least just in guac. And then I also got pico, like the corn, and then also the tomato pico. And there's probably like half a cup of that in here. And then I also got the salad. So there is lettuce and leafy greens underneath all of these toppings. I also got brown rice, so that is a whole grain, and then I also got the sofritas and cheese. This is probably like 1 ounce. There's some more like under the avocado. 1 ounce is actually equivalent to 1 cup of like dairy. Oh, and then I also forgot that I had gotten black beans in here as well. So beans is a kind of a unique food because it also counts as a protein and a vegetable, so there's kind of different measurements for each one. If you want it to count as a vegetable, you need like a whole cup, and then for it to count as a protein, you will need a 4th cup of cooked beans is 1 ounce equivalent of protein. So I will finish eating this, or eating whatever amount that I can eat, and then check back in. Okay, so I finished eating lunch, and of course I didn't finish everything. I ate probably about a third. I am going to, I guess, have to make some calculations based off of how much I ate. So I realized that they didn't actually put as much like leafy greens as I thought that they would. There was probably only about a cup, and I was like fishing around for it, and so I ate pretty much all of it. And then I ate most of the avocado as well, and then some of the corn and the pico, and I also had fajita veggies in here as well. And so lots of variety, which of course is another thing that they recommend. So the USDA has like several different categories of like vegetables that they want you to eat throughout the week. Obviously you don't have to get everything in every day, but this was like great for that. Thing that I did notice, so while I was eating I was looking up the calories, and well, not the calories, but I guess like the other nutrients of this bowl, and I realized that it has over 3,000 milligrams of sodium. So if I ate basically 2/3 of the bowl, then I'm at like 2,000 milligrams of sodium, which is my limit for the day. So that means that I really can't put any salt into dinner, or like very, very little. And then I was also looking at the saturated fat, the added sugars, and so I'm pretty close to hitting those limits as well. I think that dinner is going to have to be quite light today. Here I think I probably got like 1.5 servings of vegetables, so I still have 1 more serving to go. There was actually quite a bit of rice in there, so I probably ate like 3 ounces of grains, and the beans I think was probably closer to like 4 ounces. I found like, I think they had done like probably like 2 scoops or something like that. So it was probably around 4 ounces and I ate part of that. So that is probably around 1 protein equivalent. And I don't think it's enough for like veggies really, so I won't count that. But they also did add quite a bit of cheese, so there was like a whole nother layer of cheese under the guac. So I definitely hit at least 1 more serving of cheese, the sofritos. So that was probably like, I think about 2.5 servings of protein to 3-ish servings of protein. I'm going to have to figure out how to make a dinner that's going to help me meet the rest of my requirements for the day. So for dinner today, my options are a little bit limited just because I need to hit those certain food groups. So I put together this very simple plate. I have some white rice, some shrimp, and some broccoli. So to be more exact, I have 3.5 ounces of white rice. So that covers my grain requirement for the day. I have a cup of broccoli, so that covers my vegetables for the day. And then this is about like 2.5 to 3 ounces of shrimp, so that hits my protein requirement for the day. And so I'm gonna have this, and then I still have half of a serving of dairy left, and then also 1 more serving of fruit left. So I'm going to probably have those 2 things after dinner. So I finished dinner and I still have a couple food groups that I need to hit. So I have half of a slice of cheese, and this is going to cover my dairy requirements for today because 1 slice of cheese actually is 1 serving of dairy. So there you go. And then I also have some of these cuties here. I'm gonna eat 2, and that'll cover my last cup of fruit that I need for today. And that is basically going to be my day of perfect eating today. It was definitely a little bit easier than I thought it would be, and it kind of goes to show that like eating healthy doesn't have to be super difficult. It also doesn't mean that you have to eat salads at every meal or green juices or do anything crazy like that. It's something that you can really like work into your lifestyle. Of course, it does take some extra planning, making sure that you have fruit and vegetables on hand. So there's that, and also remembering to eat a more balanced meal. And I know on weekends that is definitely a little bit harder. I, for one, tend to, I don't want to say like pig out, but I don't eat as healthy on the weekends because I just don't have things planned out. So I definitely know that that can be kind of an issue. So you really have to kind of plan ahead whenever you're trying to eat healthy. So it can be a little bit time consuming, but I feel like nowadays there's just a lot of options that are actually pretty healthy, like Chipotle, aside from the high sodium levels. Which for dinner, that meant that I had like 1 crack of salt on my broccoli, and then I didn't salt my shrimp. They probably already have some sodium in them naturally. And then I had to pick a very, very plain grain, so I went with white rice. So I did have to make like some adjustments to, I guess, the foods that I would normally eat, but it is definitely something that you can kind of work around and work with. Obviously, the USDA dietary guidelines aren't perfect and it is somewhat political as well, but I do feel like it comes pretty close to like healthy eating because I know it made me eat a little bit healthier today just trying to follow these guidelines. So there's that. I don't want to get too much into the dietary guidelines and my criticisms of it, but I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like and also subscribe because I post new videos every Saturday, and I will see you next time. Bye.